It's no secret that The Boys Season 5 was a massive disappointment for most fans, and since my most popular video is me writing the finale, let me rewrite The Boys Season 5. Two things we gotta get out of the way first. First of all, I'm not a writer. Do not expect this to be better than any writing out there, nor am I suggesting that mine is better. I'm simply trying to create my own story that I think would have been really good. Secondly, in no way am I trying to write every scene, I'm just trying to go over main details. Secondly, I'm gonna try and keep this short because I don't want to bore you guys with such a long video. If you're a fan of movies and TV, please consider subscribing, and with that out of the way, let's get into it. I start off by showing there are three different factions going on at the moment. There'd be the Gen V kids plus A-Train plus Starlight. Then we'd have Butcher, and his whole goal this season is to kill Homelander. That'd be literally it. That's all he's going for. Butcher would still have convinced Zamir that Homelander killed his wife, so that's why Zamir is helping Butcher make the virus. Then the Seven would still be working for Homelander like normal, but I'd like Homelander in this version to have more control and have like more of his presidency be used. Him becoming president at the end of season 4, or controlling the president pretty much, was such a big cliffhanger, and then they really didn't do much with it. It'd pretty much just be Homelander controlling the nation. He'd pretty much just be a dictator, and if someone from Congress or someone from a different nation tries to oppose him, he'd pretty much just end them. Episode 1 would pretty much just be showing what all these different groups would be doing and what they're up to. Also see what life was like for Huey and MM and Frenchie in this camp and how brutal it was for them. We'd also have it revealed that Kimiko would be staying at a different camp where they have soups that aren't pro-Homelander trapped. A bunch of powerful soups throughout the universe would be shown protecting this camp. Starlight's group would be planning out how they're going to free Huey and all of them, and then end the episode off by them approaching the camp to free them. Episode 2 would open up with them freeing the people at the camp. They'd win with relative ease because now their group has the Gen V kids and A-Train, so they have a pretty strong team. We'd then see Butcher pouring a bunch of oil into the ocean, which would draw the attention of the Deep and Black Noir. They'd have a fight sequence for a little bit, but eventually we'd have Butcher wrapping both of them up in his tentacles. He'd then stab Black Noir with some sort of vial which contains the virus which would kill Black Noir. I like the idea that the early on version of the virus that they're at right now can't just be put airborne, it has to be stabbed into someone's bloodstream for it to work. Before Butcher can stab the Deep with the vial, the Deep calls in some sort of animal to destroy Butcher's tentacle, and he escapes through some animal. Then reveal that Butcher and MM are in contact and kind of talking about what's going on, although Butcher is only in contact with MM, no one else of the boys. The Deep would then tell Homelander what happened, and this would be like one of the first times we see Homelander truly scared for his life. Because of this, he'd free Soldier Boy with the sole purpose of having him hunt down Butcher, and if he would successfully kill Butcher, he would have Soldier Boy take full control of the Seven. We'd also see that Firecracker is essentially still controlling the media and telling people to look out for Butcher and the rest of the boys, and if they get seen, to call it in. Episode 3 would be where things really start to pick up, and we'd start off with Soldier Boy hunting down Butcher. We'd get in a fight, and Butcher would win and stab Soldier Boy with the virus, but because of the V1, he'd still live, but it would kind of still have an impact on him. Like we saw in the show, he'd be, like, wounded for a little bit. It could be more of kind of an illness for him, and during his fight with Butcher, he would have ended up knocking Butcher out after he got stabbed. Of course, he'd return to Seven Tower and tell them what happened and get the medical care he needed. Sage would find out that it was because of the V1 that he survived and would tell Homelander that there's no more of it and that she can't recreate it. It'd then be revealed that Sage is actually working for Stan Edgar and he wants to take out Homelander so he can take control of Vought again. Homelander would search through old records and find out that they actually are keeping V1 in that camp I mentioned earlier where the soups that aren't supporting Homelander are at. Begin flying over there, and meanwhile during all this we'd have seen that the Starlight group would have sent the Gen V kids plus A-Train and Frenchie to go free Kimiko. Meanwhile, the rest of the group is pretty much just communicating with Butcher, planning out how they're gonna kill Homelander. See the Gen V kids essentially take out a bunch of soups and free all the soups that were locked up in that camp. During all this, we'd have a scene where Butcher is kind of just driving nearby and sees Homelander flying over, so he calls the people and is like, tell them to get out of there, Homelander's on his way. This would be happening at night, and we cut to that group at that camp, hearing that message, hearing that he's on the way, then boom, suddenly in the night sky, we just see two red lights appear out of nowhere. After this, all hell would break loose, and obviously this is Homelander, and it would just be crazy. Like, this would be his aura farming moment where he just goes around killing everyone in there pretty brutally. A-Train would grab Maria Moreau because she's obviously the most powerful and escape with her, while the rest of the people there, unfortunately, are going to perish. See Homelander grab the V1 and just fly out of there as soon as possible. Butcher would have driven over there and seen the aftermath of everything, and we get his final goodbye to Frenchie, and then Kimiko would actually regenerate from all of her wounds because Homelander isn't smart enough to just kill her. Get an emotional goodbye from Butcher and Kimiko to Frenchie. Homelander would take the V1, and this is where he gets the vision that he is God, and this version, he's actually, like, has reason to believe it, kinda, because he took the thing that makes him immortal. Like, there's actual reason for him having this vision, not just something out of the blue. We'd be telling everyone that he is God, and he'd call up O-Father and have him to preach that he is the new God. And he threatened violence against the world if they didn't take him in as their new God, so that's kind of why everyone would agree to preach for him. During all this, Homelander would have killed Sage because she actually just lied to him about there being no more V1. Butcher and Kimiko would drive over to where Ryan's staying at and eventually convince him to join their team because he sees what's going on with Homelander preaching that he's God. So those three would drive back over and meet up with the rest of the boys group while they plan how to take out Homelander. Firecracker and O-Father would be trying to convince people that Homelander is God, but most people just wouldn't believe it. Homelander would go to some international summit thing with all the world's biggest leaders and tell them that they should start telling their country that he is the new God. Obviously, people would disagree, and the people that disagreed would essentially just get killed by Homelander. Obviously, this would be an event that's all over the news, and everyone would see it, and this would essentially cause the boys group to release the plane video and essentially expose Homelander for being a bad guy all these years. During all this, we'd see Stan Edgar trying to convince Soldier Boy to turn on Homelander by showing him that Stormfront is still alive because the old TV thing that if you don't see a body, you should assume that they're not dead. And Edgar's like, if you help us take down Homelander, I'll free her and you guys can live together. Homelander would fly back to America and fly back to the tower and see all these people protesting, and he'd be like, oh, these people are finally accepting me as their god, but in reality, they're all actually protesting him. He'd quickly realize that they actually are all just protesting him, and he'd be really pissed about this and take out his anger on O-Father and Firecracker and kill them. Those were the two that were in charge of converting people, and they didn't do their job right, so he takes them out. So the only remaining people in the 7 are him, the Deep, and Soldier Boy. There'd be protesters outside the tower, so he'd be like, guys, let's go handle these people, let's go get rid of them. So they go down there and start taking out some of the protesters. It'd only be Homelander and the Deep doing this. Soldier Boy would kind of look back at them and realize what they're doing is pretty crazy. The boys group would be on their way over, and obviously A-Train would get there first, and he'd start trying to rescue people, getting them out of the way of Homelander's beams, but he'd get hit in the crossfire, and that'd essentially be his death. It wouldn't be as fleshed out as we actually saw it in the show, but we still get him see him go out protecting people and standing up against Homelander. Then the boys group would get there, and the first thing we'd see is Starlight picks up the Deep and flies him away, essentially just calls an ISO on him. So then it'd essentially be Soldier Boy, Butcher, Ryan, Kimiko, and Marie all trying to take down Homelander together. This should be a pretty long and intense fight, as this is the strongest we've seen Homelander. I think Kimiko should be taken out pretty early, but she'll regenerate and not actually die. Eventually the boys group would get the upper hand, as they do have a pretty strong team, and that's when we'd see Homelander start to try and fly away. As Homelander's flying away though, we'd see Butcher kind of wrap himself around Homelander with his tentacles, and as he's flying away he kind of flies with him. Because of this, Homelander's flying is all out of control and is not his usual self, and during all this we'd actually see Soldier Boy, as they're flying away, trying to shoot them out of the air with his beam. He wouldn't be able to hit them with his beam, but out of nowhere we'd see Ryan kind of tackle them out of the air and make them go flying down to the ground. Obviously Butcher would unattach during all this, and Ryan would catch him out of the air so he doesn't fall to his death. And then Homelander at this point should be pretty weakened, as even a fall from this height should do a lot of damage to him and really hurt him. So Homelander would be on the ground, and Ryan would jump on him, and Homelander would try and fly away, and Butcher would grab him with the tentacle. Even though Ryan's pulling him down and Butcher is kind of being an anchor to him, he's still moving a little bit, so we'd kind of see Butcher kind of getting pulled away with him. He wouldn't be getting much vertical movement going up higher, but he'd be able to move horizontally pretty well, moving them with him. Then Marie would come out of nowhere and use her blood powers to grab him and kind of pull him down, where they have two anchors of Butcher and Marie holding him down to the ground. So between the three of them, they'd essentially demobilize him, and this would kind of look like Thanos in Infinity War, where they use all the different powers and people to hold him down to the ground so he can't move. Then Soldier Boy would come and use his beam to take out Homelander's powers, and in my version, his power kind of works where it has to be the person that it directly hits that it loses their power, so only Homelander would be depowered, and we'd see the same thing like we saw on the show, where he's really scared and is kind of begging for his life. They're all in agreement that he shouldn't live and that they should kill him, and of course Butcher gets the final blow, and I do think it's right that he uses his crowbar to get the final blow. During this fight we'd see scenes of Starlight and the Deep fighting, but Starlight would kind of overpower him, because I think throughout the show we kind of depowered Starlight when in reality she's very powerful. Starlight wouldn't have killed the Deep though, she kind of just would have brought him back to New York and he'd be demobilized and they'd take him to prison. So the only person in the 7 that survives is the Deep, but he's gonna spend life in prison as everything he did got exposed. This video is getting a little longer than I'd like, so I'm gonna try and speed up this ending. After the fight, we'd cut to a few days later, and everyone's back to living their normal lives, kind of all celebrating together about what just happened. Pretty much everyone that was publicly known to be associated with Vought would be taken to prison. However, Stan Edgar would still be around, and we'd see a scene of him trying to convince Ryan to join the Seven and kind of lead the new face of Vought. His pitch would be like, the son that took out his evil father now takes over as the lead hero in this world. Ryan obviously wouldn't agree and is constantly turning it down, but then Stan Edgar, as kind of like a last-ditch effort, would be like, hey, Soldier Boy is with the woman that killed your mom. Edgar's like, if you agree to join me, I will tell you how to get to them and where they're at so you can take her out and get revenge. So Ryan would tell Butcher, and Butcher's like, yeah, let's go take them out. Let's get revenge for what they did to Becca. Soldier Boy and Stormfront would be kind of living a different life. They'd kind of be away from New York and in some different city when all of a sudden Butcher and Ryan would pull up out of nowhere. Obviously, Stormfront wouldn't really have any limbs, so she couldn't fight, so Ryan kind of just jumps Soldier Boy out of nowhere. And this is like peak Ryan strength, like he's really pissed and fueled up, so he's kind of just tossing Soldier Boy around and flying him around. Butcher would watch as Ryan is like throwing Soldier Boy through buildings and is killing innocent people, and Butcher is telling him to stop, like, you're hurting innocent people, you gotta stop doing this, and Ryan's like, I don't care. So Butcher kind of just has to watch back in disappointment seeing all these innocent people die as Ryan and Soldier Boy have a massive fight. Ryan would win because he can fly and move really well, and Soldier Boy has no movement, so he can't really hit him. It makes more sense to me that Ryan would be able to dodge Soldier Boy's beams as they're in an open space and not like enclosed or trapped or anything. Ryan could fight with range with his beams, and he could also kind of like dive bomb him like a bird and kind of just take different shots. But Ryan would eventually kill Soldier Boy and then obviously go kill Stormfront, and Butcher would be kind of shocked as like the whole town had been destroyed and there's like no one still alive there. And this is essentially what would inspire Butcher to release the airborne virus. Obviously by now they had upgraded the virus. Instead of it being like an injection, they made it more of an airborne illness. And honestly, I really wouldn't change it much from what the show did. I thought they handled the scene really perfectly where Huey goes to confront Butcher and ends up shooting him, and Butcher's justification for it all is that he saw Ryan act on emotion instead of valuing other people's lives, and it kind of shows that no matter who's in charge and the strongest, they're going to be controlled by emotions, so therefore there's always going to be evil Supes, so there should be no more Supes, period. So pretty much just insert what we saw in the show with that Butcher and Huey scene, as I really like that scene and I'm kind of lazy. Then we get like an epilogue like we saw in the show. Huey and Starlight would go live off somewhere on their own away from New York. MM would do the same with his family, and then Kimiko would go live off somewhere else, probably France, on her own, buying some dog. Then back in New York, we'd see Ryan kind of take over as the new face of Vought, and kind of the cycle just repeats as it kind of just shows that big corporations stay big. And it's kind of left for the viewer's interpretation if he's more of a good guy in the end or kind of turns more into Homelander in the end, controlled by his own emotions. Then Marie would become the president of the new Soup University and would actually like inspire them to be good superheroes, so it kind of does give a little hope for the future of this world. So there y'all go. That is my official attempt at rewriting The Boys Season 5. Please let me know in the comments if you agree with what I said, if you agree that this would be a better season, or if this would be a worse, please let me know. Also, let me know if you would change anything in my version of it. If you liked the video, please leave a like. If you're a fan of movies and TV shows, please consider subscribing. Take a look at the channel. We post movies and TV content. Thank y'all for watching. I'll see you next time.